Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of The Power of Podcasting Live. As you saw, I'm testing out a few different things here, so I'm very excited about this brand new format, about some of the tech that we're pulling in, which allows me to do a few different camera angles, which is allowing me to do a couple different things, and we need to kill that sound. Lots of new stuff to play with, lots of new stuff to figure out, slowly getting the hang of this. But on this week's episode, what we're going to be talking about is the fastest way to actually grow your audience. So we're going to talk about the fastest way to grow your podcasting audience on this week's episode, and I cannot wait to dive into this content because I think it's going to truly help you accelerate your growth of your business and of your podcast, and help you grow that bigger audience, grow that bigger tribe, and help you get more customers and clients and truly maximize both your impact and your income. And I want to walk you through kind of our process to help you really accelerate that growth. One of the big key things that we always talk about is the need for that consistently produced content. So to have a weekly live stream, to have a weekly podcast, that is going to be the best way to actually deepen the relationship that you have with your audience. But to truly accelerate it, we're going to actually talk about the audience acceleration sequence and just a few other strategies to help you really grow your audience. So I'm fielding questions, your questions and comments. So if you have any questions, a comment, or anything like that, feel free to leave them here on this page, on this video, and I will be sure to answer any of those questions after the video, or as we wrap up towards the end of the video. I'll be sure to dive into all of your questions, and if I don't get a chance to answer them then, I will actually go back through and answer them in the comments afterwards. But now it's time to actually dive into today's content, and really we're going to talk about leveraging other people's audiences in order to grow your own. That's truly the best way, the fastest way for you to really grow your audience. So with that, what I want you to try and do is to actually find other people's podcasts that you can be on. A podcast, be a guest, really guest appearances on other people's podcasts, other people's live stream interviews is going to be the quickest way to really grow your audience, especially when you do it the right way. And it's important that you do it, have a process, have a system in place, both for getting booked, but then for also actually getting people from that audience in order to be a part of your audience. So why is this the best way to grow your audience? Well, it's plain and simple. These people have already put in the time and effort and have the connection with their audience that you can then leverage by being a guest on their show. And frankly, they need guests. As a podcaster, as someone who runs the behind the scenes of lots of podcasts, I know that these people, podcasters, are constantly looking for guests. Some shows that are bigger shows, they're going to be filled with guests. They're going to have a few hoops for you to jump through in order to actually appear on their show. But many other podcasters who are just starting out, who are just starting to grow their audience, they could use extra people. They could use that content, and you're going to have a valuable insight and information that they are going to actually be able to use and present to their audience. It's content they don't necessarily have to go through and create. You potentially bring in a whole new people because a certain amount of your audience is going to follow you to listen to their interview, which could potentially grow their podcast. But the best way to really, the fastest way for you to grow your audience is to actually be that guest and to deliver excellent value. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually run through a few different ways of how you can actually go about getting this guest appearances, and then the sequence that you can actually use, the audience acceleration system that you can use in order to really grow your audience. But before we do, I just want to mention that I have a very special training coming up soon that you can be a part of, and it's all on how to go from anonymous listeners to email list subscribers, and we're going to talk all about lead magnets. So if you want to go check this out, it's our sponsor for the day, kind of our featured resource for this episode. Simply head on over to yourpodcastguru.com/lead magnet, and you can sign up there. But the biggest thing we're going to do is we're going to talk all about guest appearances for your podcast and how you can actually go about and get more of those. And we seem to be having some difficulties here with this live broadcast. So while I troubleshoot those, here is a little bit more information on the lead magnet training that will be coming up very soon. Do you want to learn how to simply and easily grow your email list? By following a few simple strategies, you can turn any podcast episode into a lead generating machine. Join me for the webinar training titled From an Anonymous Listener to Email List Subscribers. In this training, you'll learn best practices in lead magnet creation that are going to help get people to actually raise their hand and go from anonymous listeners to signing up for your email list in order to get more information from you and to eventually become customers and clients of yours. And we'll show you the entire process on how to actually do just that. You're going to learn what lead magnets attract the most amount of people. You're going to learn how to actually design these lead magnets, and most importantly, how to create those calls for action in both your podcast episodes, but also in guest appearances. These strategies work with any type of podcast in any different industry, and whether they're your own podcasts, episodes, or you're actually being a guest on other episodes, we're going to show you how to actually generate leads and ultimately generate customers and clients from those. This training is delivered through a live webinar, and yes, there will be a recording which you will have lifetime access to. All you have to do in order to sign up for this training is head over to yourpodcastguru.com/lead magnet. Again, that's yourpodcastguru.com/lead magnet, and you can sign up today. All right, thanks for sticking with us. I think we're still live. I think we're still good. So thank you for sticking in there. And we had definitely some technical difficulties. So now let's dive back into this week's training, where we are going to be talking all about guest appearances and how you can actually make the most of those guest appearances to really grow your business and to get more people to check out your podcast. So what I would like you to do is, if you want, I have a very special lead magnet for this episode. Simply head on over to yourpodcastguru.com/download4, or go to 44222 and text the word download 4, and you're going to get access to what we call our audience acceleration nurture sequence. And so that'll walk you through exactly everything you need to really help accelerate your relationship with that brand new audience, and how to actually get more people to go from your guest interviewee spot into your email list and then get them to be buyers. So again, that's yourpodcastguru.com/download4, or text the word download4 to 44222. And with that, let's dive into one of the very first things you need to do when finding your guest appearance spot. Is you need to go through iTunes and search for that right audience. What you're looking for is maybe not necessarily the biggest podcasts out there, but you want to find the podcasts that have the right group of people, the right audience watching, the ones that are the perfect fit for your show. And so you're going to actually search based off of who your ideal listener is. You need to know who your ideal listener is for your podcast and for your email list and your audience, but then you're going to find other people out there who have that same audience. So they might be in a completely different niche, but they're going to have a very similar psychographic and makeup of your ideal listener. And you're going to scour iTunes. iTunes is essentially a great big search engine. So if you know what topics you talk about, if you know who kind of your ideal listener is and the things that they like and the things they're interested in, you're going to actually be able to search iTunes and find the people who fit that exact same demographic, that exact same audience. And those are the ones you're going to really want to search out and then start targeting. The next thing you need to do is you actually need to go through and you need to craft your pitch sheet. So what that's going to really look like is you're going to have a document that is kind of briefly explaining who you are, why you're an expert in this area, and how you can help their audience. And it's going to be really showing how, okay, these are some potential, these are the topics I talk about and why I think it's going to be a good fit for your podcast audience. And it's going to just be very simple, but you're going to want to go through and create a very short pitch statement. And then I like to also include a little bit longer of a PDF that is essentially a one-page pitch sheet that is going to list out a couple topics you can talk about and a little bit on your background. Then the next step is going to be to actually really deliver a great interview. This is something that I don't think people put enough emphasis on, and you need to have that excellent quality interview, and you need to deliver that great value in order for anybody to really care. If you're not giving great information, if you're not teaching that audience something, if you're not getting results in some way, if you're not connecting with them, then nothing else is really going to matter. They're not going to follow up on your lead magnet. They're not going to go and listen to your podcast. They're not going to become a part of your audience if you don't first connect with them on that interview. So that needs to be paramount, is to actually go through and deliver a high quality interview. And then what I really want to do to encourage you to deliver that high quality interview is to use sound bites. So come up with short phrases and things like that that are actually going to be that are easily for your audience, for the listening audience to digest. Because remember, when people are listening to podcasts, they're usually driving, working out, doing dishes, have kids running around. They're usually involved in some other activity. So you don't want to go into big, long explanations. You don't want to necessarily deliver content that they need to be taking tons of notes on. You want it to be packed with value, but you want it to come in short, pithy, step-by-step procedures that they can easily remember and easily apply. And then from there, when you have those sound bites, even if you're explaining a bigger, more in-depth step-by-step process, if you deliver it in sound bites, then the nice thing is you can actually create a lead magnet that is going to give them a big overview of that step-by-step process, so they don't even need to worry about taking notes. And you can tell them that up front right away, kind of like I did here in this episode, is I told you that, hey, we're going to be diving into the nurture sequence, the audience acceleration nurture sequence, and then I have a lead magnet for you that will walk you through everything step by step in more detail. So now you don't need to necessarily be taking notes on the entire process, because you know you have that resource that you can go get and that will walk you through that step by step. And I'm just kind of giving you an overview, explaining a little bit about each piece, and you can actually get all of the more detail even, and see the whole process as a whole in that lead magnet. So then again, the big thing is to go out there and deliver great value. Make sure you're not just delivering service level stuff. You want to really dive deep and make sure it has tons of value for everyone in that listening audience. And then your next step is going to be to actually do the audience acceleration nurture sequence. So this is basically a sequence that you're going to set up. You're going to create a system ahead of time that you're going to create to really allow you to add that, to really allow you to connect with them, to get them to move from being just that anonymous listener on somebody else's podcast to raising their hand and to then becoming a member of your audience. And then very quickly, if done right, this nurture sequence is going to get them to become a paying client and customer of yours. So now let's quickly walk through what that audience acceleration nurture sequence looks like. The very first step is it all starts with that call to action. So you need to have that super strong call to action, because that's really where it all starts. That gets people to raise their hand and say, hey, I want to go to this next step. So for an example, in this video, my call to action is to go get the audience acceleration nurture sequence lead magnet. And you do that by going to yourpodcastguru.com/download4 or texting download4 to 44222. Yours is going to be slightly different, but you're going to do something based off of the content that you're teaching. You're going to help people take a next step, or give them a worksheet that makes it easier, or maybe it's going to be an assessment. You're going to have some sort of call to action for sure by the end of the podcast episode. If it comes up naturally within the conversation, drop it earlier, drop it in the middle somewhere, wherever it seems natural. You don't want to be too pushy with that lead magnet, but you want to have that call to action for sure by the end of the episode. And a really great interviewer is going to make sure they give you that space at the very end to talk with how people can actually connect with you, or if they want to learn more from you, what should they do? That's going to be your natural spot to add that. But if it comes up in the conversation, if you find yourself referring to some of the content that is in that lead magnet, you're going to want to naturally drop that call to action sooner. Then from there, what you're going to be doing is you need to make sure that you have a really solid lead magnet created. That's that step one. So what are some examples of potential lead magnets? Well, what works really great is things like assessments. So if you are talking about, say, a journey, or if there or some other some process where you're trying to figure out where they are on a roadmap. So for example, I have the 5 stages of building a business through podcasting. Well, if I have people who are trying to figure out where they are, which stage they're in, I could have an assessment that it's going to help place people. Or if you're helping them decide like some sort of personality assessment, or how Michael Hyatt has a great productivity assessment. So there's assessments work really well because they help people decide where they are on a pathway, where they are in relation, and then from there they're going to know what actions they need to take to get to that next level. Other things that work really great are gear guides or resource guides. So if you talk a lot about, if maybe you're talking about live streaming, you might have a live streaming gear guide that you're giving away. People really love those. Outlines and checklists. Checklists work amazing. So if you have some sort of process, having a checklist that people can follow to actually accomplish that process, get that end result, is going to be really excellent. Templates also work really well. So if I were to say that I had a template for a great podcast episode, and you can get that template by going here, people are going to be very likely to go take that, to raise their hand, sign up for that lead magnet. So step number 1 is to have a really great lead magnet. Step number 2 is to have your welcome email. This is essentially going to be that email that people are going to get right away after they opt in, or after they sign up on your opt-in page to get your lead magnet. This will be sent right away, and really all this email is going to do is it's going to deliver the lead magnet. It's going to have a link to the download link to go actually and get that lead magnet. That's the main objective. You can quickly introduce who you are a little bit in that welcome email. You probably should welcome them to your community a little bit, but for the most part, it's simply delivering the lead magnet. The next step, step number 3, is going to come the day after that welcome email, and it's going to be your why email. What you're doing with the why email is you're actually going to teach people, is you're going to tell your story, why you got interested into this area. So I would talk about what actually got me started in podcasting and why I started creating a business around helping other people do podcasts. That you're going to explain that in a way. The key here is to explain your story, to give people that why, that insight into you and your personality and your reasoning for teaching what you're teaching, but to do it in a way that you actually even offer a little bit of extra value to them, that you teach them about something. So I would talk about it in a way where I realize the value of I realize the importance of consistently adding value to showing up and marketing week after week after week as a way to actually grow a business. Because that's the true lesson I learned, so I would want to teach that lesson by showing them my story. So you want to have that why email delivered the day after the welcome email. And then for step number 4, you are going to actually do the deep dive email. So with this email, it's going to be a very simple one. And what you're going to basically do is you are going to teach more. And what I want you to do is maybe you can do one of two things. You can either take a piece, a segment of your lead magnet and really dive into that specific segment. Maybe you talked about one specific camera. You're going to really dive into how to actually use that camera in this email. Or you're going to really dive into one specific area of the lead magnet even more and take them to a deeper understanding of what that area is and how they should use it in their business, in their life. Or the second way you can go about it is to actually, okay, so you figured out what gear you need to get started live streaming. Well, how do you go about creating your first live stream? Or for your podcast, what should your content calendar look like for your podcast? Or what are those first 3 episodes you should do? So you're going to take them from where they are with the lead magnet and take them one step further. Really, with this email, what you want to do is you want to add a ton of value, and then you want to show that you are an expert, that you have expertise, that you have knowledge in this area beyond what you just shared in the lead magnet, that you have now a deeper understanding, that you are able that you can teach them much more about this topic area is really what you're trying to do with this email. And this email should go out 2 days after your why email. I like to send it 2 to 3 days afterwards, so that they still have a little bit of time to digest your why email. If things are getting crazy, you're not hitting their email inbox every single day, but you want to show up fairly soon after, because they're still building that relationship with you. And if you go too long without sending an email, they're going to start to forget about you. They're going to not open your emails. So you want to continue to build on the excitement that they already have with you. And then the next step number 5, is to do your case study. What you're going to be doing with this email is, again, it's going to come from I want to teach you, I want to educate you more on this topic area, but you're going to go from the approach of, here's someone that I've worked with. Here's someone who's been through my course, who's been a coaching member, who's whatever. I helped them. They were someone I worked with, and they had this transformation. So we're going to talk about what they think life was like before them, what their business was like before they started podcasting, and this is what happened afterwards. And these are the strategies they put in place, and these are the results they have. So really what you're doing with this email is you are showing that, hey, I can actually help get results. I've helped other people get results with these strategies. And then at the very end of the email, in the PS, what I want you to do is I want you to do either at the very end of the email, even possibly in a PS, is say, hey, if you'd like to get these same results, tune in, watch your inbox tomorrow for another email from me, and just leave it at that. Because what you're going to do is you're going to actually send this email 2 to 3 days after you sent the deep dive email. So again, we're a little bit of more space, but again, you're coming from a place, okay, I've really helped, here is results that I've helped someone get. So this is positioning you again as that expert, as someone who has knowledge, who has information that you can help improve their life. They're already looking for this information. They're already looking for this transformation. They want it in their life and in their business. They want this transformation. And now you're just showing them that, hey, I've helped other people with this, and I can help you as well. And you're teasing the fact that you can help them as well. And that's going to bring us to step number 6, which is the offer email. This is where you're going to actually go in and this email is specifically designed just to make that offer. So whether it's to your coaching program, whether it's to an online course, whether it's to book you to speak, whatever the offer may be, this is the spot where you're going to actually go in and you're going to make that offer. So maybe you're a little bit uncomfortable about selling through email. Well, then you can even if you're a coach, do a discovery call or whatever. But I really want to encourage you, here's where you need to make that offer. And you're going to do this the day after you send the case study email. And the reason why I say that you need to have some sort of offer this quickly is because when people raise their hand and sign up for their email list, they are never as excited about you as that exact point if you don't build that momentum. So what tends to happen with a lot of online creators, with a lot of podcasters, a lot of course creators, people in kind of that online information world, is they're a little hesitant to sell. So they want to add value, they want to educate, and they think that that's the best way. And it absolutely is. But you need to make that offer, because what will happen is you'll be interviewed on somebody else's podcast. You'll have somebody sign up for your lead magnet, and then they'll get on your email list, and then they will start receiving your weekly podcast email. And that's all it is. You're adding great value. They're excited about it. But after time, it's just more and more content. You just kind of keep showing up again and again in their inbox. And there's always that 7-day delay between every single email that you send. And things get busy. And they start to forget about you. They start not to open every email. Maybe they're only opening a couple. And pretty soon they're not opening. All right, so for those of you who have kind of stuck with us the entire time, I've definitely been having some technical difficulties today. That's part of the problem of actually testing a brand new system while you're going live, but that's also one of the only ways to actually test it is to put it in and to really try it on the fly, to kind of, not necessarily on the fly. I've tested out a lot of things ahead of time, but the only way to really see some of the results and where some of the challenges are is to really actually do it in a real setting. And so you've got to see a little bit of that today. We just had issues all over the place, starting with this last one, which was I forgot to actually put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Which is a very rookie mistake. Usually never forget that, but there you go. So I'm going to dive in here, jump back in where we were, where I was when things kind of got interrupted with this last content, or where I think it was, and what I'm going to be doing afterwards. So if you're just seeing this video, what I'm going to be doing afterwards is actually going through and splicing the videos together in post-production and re-uploading a full video to Facebook so that you can actually see that full video production. But hey, I will leave this one up there as well, so you can see the mistakes and the flubs, and to realize that, hey, it doesn't always go perfect. Things aren't always going right, and I want to be as transparent as possible and just show you, hey, these are some of the mistakes that happen, and these are some of the challenges that you have to face, but you keep going. So where were we? I believe we were right at step number 6, which is to actually go through and make your offer email. And what you really want to do with this email is you're going to actually go and present that offer, because like I was saying, people are never as excited about you as when they first sign up for your email list. And after, say, weeks and weeks of getting an email from you, the momentum that they have is going to decrease unless you actively do something to increase that engagement. You get them to take that next step, moving down the funnel, as I like to use an analogy in our business, of constantly moving people down a funnel in order to build a deeper and closer relationship with them, to get them to become those raving fans. So when someone signs up for your email list, if all you're doing is delivering value once a week, they're going to slowly start to lose that momentum. But by following the audience acceleration nurture sequence, what's going to happen is you're going to deliver value very quickly up front, even greater value, building off of the value you've already given, building off the lead magnet and helping them see the path and helping them understand where you're coming from, helping them go deeper, helping them then see how other people have been impacted by your strategies. And then you're going to make that offer, because for many people, there'll be a certain percentage of them that are going to raise their hand, that are going to be ready to jump in with you and take that offer right away up front. And for those people, you've helped them move one step closer to becoming a raving fan of yours. One step, you've helped them move down that funnel and have a deeper relationship with you, because you're going to be able to help them even more in your paid product or as a coaching client. And for everyone else, they're going to still be on that normal nurture sequence where they're going to receive an email once a week with your weekly podcast episode. And they're going to continue to get value until they're ready to either fall away because they weren't the right fit for your audience, or they're going to be ready to then take that next offer that you present. So you want to try and accelerate people's process through that funnel as much as possible, because there are going to be definitely people who are ready to take action right away, and you want to make sure you allow them to. So that's why I really think it's essential to have this nurture sequence right up front, and then to put people into that regular sequence of getting your weekly content. So again, if you want to see more on how that sequence actually works, all you have to do is go to yourpodcastguru.com/download and /download4, and then you can sign up for the Audience Acceleration Nurture Sequence download, or simply text the word download for one word to 44222. And so with that, that's really the biggest thing you want to remember, is that you want to actually go and create systems. So that nurture sequence is a perfect example of a system that you're going to want to create. But not only are you going to want to create a system, this system for behind the scenes that just happens automatically whenever you're on a podcast episode, a podcast guest, an interviewee guest, you're also going to want to create systems for reaching out to people. So you're going to want to create a spreadsheet of a bunch of different people that you can reach out to. So maybe for the initial day, all you're doing is gathering 50 names of potential podcasts that have your ideal audience that you might want to reach out to. And then what you're doing is every day you're reaching out to 5 of them. That's kind of the system that I have in place right now as I look to be a guest on more podcasts, to really start growing the audience for this live stream, to really start growing the Power of Podcasting audience in general, and to book some more webinars and things like that. I have this exact type of reach out system in place where every day I'm reaching out to 5 people. And as people respond, I'm reconnecting with them. I have a spreadsheet that tracks all of them when I've reached out, when I need to follow up with them, because usually I'll give a couple weeks, and then I'll follow up with them, see if there's any change, if they've thought about it anymore, or just to make sure that it stays in front of them, and then we take things from there. And then we get things scheduled. I mark when the release date is in this spreadsheet. Actually, what I will do is if you go and sign up for that download, I will know, and I'll be able to I'll send out an email that dives deeper in I'll send out an email with a link to that spreadsheet that I'm using. That's really the guest tracking spreadsheet, because I think it will be helpful for all of you to keep track of your guest appearances, and it'll be a great system for you to start using. And speaking of systems, if you are looking to really go through and create a solid lead magnet for your podcast, whether it's for your own episodes or for your guest appearances, I have a training coming up very soon with a very special offer that ends here on Friday. So you're going to want to take action on this very quickly. But all you have to do to get this training is to go to yourpodcastguru.com/lead magnet. And what this training is, it's how to go from an anonymous listener to email list subscribers. This is going to be a live webinar. And yes, it will be recorded, but it'll be a webinar that walks you through what makes a great lead magnet, how to design a lead magnet, how to do solid calls to action, and what your opt-in page should look like in order to help increase the number of people who are raising their hand, signing up for your emails, how you can actually use Facebook ads in order to help retarget some of these people. So we'll walk through all of that in this training, and you can go sign up for that now before it is too late. So again, I just want to thank you so much for tuning in and sticking through this kind of tech issue riddled Power of Podcasting weekly live broadcast. I will be back again next week. Again, every single week we are live here on my Facebook page on every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. And all you have to do is go to yourpodcastguru.com/live if you want to sign up there. So thank you so much for tuning in. And until next week, it's time for you to go out there and maximize both your impact and your income.